Our project for this unit is called theme design. So in this video, I'm going to go ahead and introduce what that looks like and show you some examples. So here are some student examples. So the idea is that you are going to make a statement through this kind of collage. Okay, so previously you've used pencil to create values, to create like even values, lights, grays, darks. Now you're going to be using pen or Sharpie, whatever you have available to you, to be able to create these different lines and to still create value, but you're doing it with techniques like cross-hatching, hatching, stippling, like we talked about before you created your value drawings. And you can see some of those things here. You can see she has some stippling, she has some like dark areas, some white spots, some hatching, lots of different opportunities in here for you to be able to show that way of creating value. And then the other aspect is that you're collaging all of these images together to make a statement. So first thing you'll have to do is figure out what you want to say. What is important to you? What do you care about? Do you want to celebrate an artist, maybe a musical artist, or a person who you really look up to? Do you want to make a statement about something you see in the world that you either want changed or you think is awesome? I mean, it's really up to you how you want to approach it, but I want you to say something. Don't be afraid to say something through your artwork. Okay, even if it's something personal that's just about you, you want to say, hey, this is me, these are the things I care about. That works as well. Okay, and so let's go ahead and look at some more examples. You'll also notice that there's opportunities to be able to use Photoshop to help create this collage, and I include a tutorial on how to do that. But if you want to do this by hand, you can also just look up images and just individually like trace different images or draw different images, or even just use cutouts from magazines and trace them. There's so many different ways to go about this, okay? So I want you to keep that in mind as you're moving forward. All right, here's another student example. This is one that I'll come back to quite a bit. It has a very obvious theme, and it's making a statement about peace. This one's pretty cool. I love the contrast in here of these like cross patterns, the thicker lines and the thinner lines. That's something else I'm looking for, is line variation. That's going to help separate different images. It's also going to just create more variety in your image, make it more interesting. You want to be able to see dark areas where it's totally filled in like here in these darker lines, light areas where it's like a thin line and more open, and you want to see like medium areas where there's just somewhere in between. Here's another example. Really interesting, great details. These aren't very large, so when you're doing yours, you're just going to do it on a piece of paper. But I think because they're not super large, it allows you to really get a lot of details in there. Here's some more, some great contrast in here, negative and positive space, great patterns in the background, lots of overlapping. Okay, so here are the steps, and I have broken these steps into 2 different sections. All of the steps are found in this presentation, but these first steps are all you're going to need for this week. So first thing, here's the full instructions. Step 1 is brainstorming. What do you want to say? What do you care about? Maybe it's a social issue, a character trait, an emotion, a song lyric, a poem, however you want to do it. But in your sketchbook, you want to write down a bunch of different ideas and then see if you can come up with ideas for images to represent them. Because that's part of the trick. You can't just come up with an idea and then if you don't know how to show it, then it doesn't really work. You're going to need to find lots of different images. So write down your main themes, write about it, make a list of all the different images that you could find to be able to create this collage. Then you are going to create a new folder on your desktop. You just right-click on your desktop, create a new folder. That's going to be a really good way to organize all of the images that you're then going to want to go out and find. So please do that. And here's your image checklist. Okay, so you are going to need to find at least 12 different images that you can put together into your collage. If you look at some of the previous examples, you'll notice sometimes there's a lot more than 12, and that's okay. But you want to find at least 12. So within that 12, to help you know what you're looking for, you're going to have 4 main images. These are the main images that really make a statement. And you're going to use these and make these larger in your actual piece. Then you're going to have 6 either small or medium images, because you want to have those main ones as your focal points, but then you're going to need some things to help connect it all together. And then in the background, whatever space is left over, you can use with patterns or textures. So typically you find a couple patterns or textures. Usually they're strong black and white contrasting. So if I look at some of these, you can see that. Here's like a pattern, a texture, that are used in the background to help pull it all together, okay? So I would find all of these things and save them. And you might use all 12. You might end up grabbing more. You might not use all 12. But this is a pretty safe place to get started. And if you have all of these, usually you can successfully put together your collage. Here's some examples of those things. So this is the piece collage that a different student did, and so here's like 4 main ones, and some of them could also be main ones, but this one definitely is a focal point. Down here is more detailed. This one's in the middle. Then we have like small, medium ones. So here's some small ones. Patterns and textures. So we have all kinds of different things happening in the background. And then some ideas when you're going to find your images. For this, you can actually go to Google or Bing or whatever it is you use as your search engine. But when you're finding those images and you're saving them, make sure that you're finding striking silhouettes. So obvious outlines, because you are going to be outlining and then drawing the contours of all of these. Make sure that it's got some detail, okay? It's not a cartoon. We are not looking for a cartoony version of whatever statement you're trying to make. And make sure it's a good for just a contour line drawing, because that's what you're going to need to be able to create with it. Also, make sure that the outline, when you outline it, you can still identify what the subject is. So as you see on the right-hand side with these hands, if you were to just take the outline, it would be like a floating hand, or it would be like kind of a weird mess of lines. Whereas on the left-hand side, the angle is much better to be able to see what's going on, 2 hands shaking,